Hello everyone and welcome back to the series. As always, before we begin, a big thanks to my channel members for their continued support. Prior to the Crystal Region arc, the set of chapters will be starting in this summary. I've stated previously that chapters 22 through 24 were the longest. These upcoming set of chapters are just as dense. In this summary, we'll also cross-reference several side missions and events, such as Boomsday and Dark Hero. Chapter 27 begins with the Counters unloading another round of rations that was sent up to the reclamation site. Evidently, Neon is a bit too excited with seeing all these rations arriving, and Anise is struggling with transporting the large quantity of materials to various destinations. Due to the rough terrain delivery robots take to avoid rapture detection, much of the supplies arrive banged up and slightly damaged. Though a minor setback, it's better than the resources going missing on the surface. This is a common result, according to Shifty, with transport missions of this nature. Most of the time, resources are rendered useless, or due to rapture attacks, end up entirely lost on the surface. Shifty also informs the group that Mighty Tools have begun production of an elevator to the reclamation site, thus expediting future resupplies from the Arc and a direct line back to the outpost. According to Shifty, it'll take anywhere from 1 to 3 months to complete. Things seem to be going well for the Counters. In addition to their plentiful bounty of new resources, Rappy also informs the commander that reinforcements should be arriving shortly, 3 NIKKEs in total, who specialize in surface exploration. Though, the start of this chapter may seem a bit odd if you've been following the summary series. We ended on the arrival of Raptilian, so where exactly is he? The opening of this chapter takes place 3 weeks after the end of chapter 26. According to Rappy, it was thanks to Raptilian's generous gift that the Counters have an inclination where to begin with reclaiming the surface. We then flash back to 3 weeks prior, Mother Whale landing at the reclamation site. From the landed Mother Whale emerges what can only be described as an eccentric and odd character. Raptilian emerges, greeting the Counters and the commander, stating how long it's been since they'd last seen each other. For those of you wondering, yes, this is yet another instance of NIKKE tying in their non-campaign based events into the main story. Raptilian is a character we meet in the side missions of the game. These missions are non-voiced and are entirely optional to play when completing certain sets of chapters. After completing chapters in NIKKE's early game, players are prompted to undergo these missions via Blah Messenger. These missions range from basic retrieval operations to more interesting events, such as our encounter with Raptilian. I know most of you probably have skipped through these parts of the story, so I'll do my best to summarize the missions we see him in a timely manner. Raptilian, for lack of better words, is a rapture-obsessed human who wanted to try and understand the raptures a bit more. He is infatuated with the raptures, and due to this, he asks the commander to go undercover in order to gather more data. Wearing rapture disguises, the commander enters amidst a group of raptures and begins to blend in and mingle. Through the commander's effort, Raptilian is able to partially satiate his pursuit to understand these raptures a bit more. Despite this, the central government soon catches wind of Raptilian's little obsession. Due to him wanting to study these creatures, they see him as an immediate threat. As central government troops close in on Raptilian's location, something rather interesting happens. Raptures come to Raptilian's aid. These raptures save Raptilian and carry him off to safety, leaving both the commander and the central government at a loss of words at what just happened. Now Raptilian is back, with a Tyrant-class rapture, Whaley. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Whaley is a cute nickname Raptilian had given this Mother Whale. You know, the same rapture variant that would decimate entire armies. But hey, I guess Whaley just felt cute today. Raptilian for some time had been traveling with Whaley on the surface. He describes it as a spectacular experience, far different from the Arc. These sights are so spectacular that Raptilian regularly finds himself forgetting to eat, resulting in the predicament that the Counters found him in earlier. He hadn't eaten for 5 days straight, and fainted. After the Counters gave him some water and rations though, he was right as rain, eagerly recounting his adventures with Whaley. While exploring the surface, Raptilian spotted the Counters in distress while fighting the Raptures, and descended to aid. Despite Raptilian's fondness of raptures, his care for his friends comes first. Raptilian also comments on how most raptures in their current state are different from Whaley. They're not open to communication with humans, and thus, many are still mindless killing machines. Reptilian also drops an interesting tidbit here, stating that Whaley's current appearance was a result of a diet change. Mother Whale's diet was normally animal-based. However, altering said diet to a more plant and fruit-based one yielded the results the counters see now. Although baffling, Reptilian's response is that it's one of the many mysteries of nature. Before they can continue their conversation, Whaley roars out, Reptilian stating they need to depart. He'd love to bring the counters along, however, Whaley is shy. No, seriously, Reptilian states that this thing is shy around new people. This is absolutely insane to consider, this gargantuan rapture being shy of 3 Nikkes and a commander. Before departing, Reptilian has one final thing to give to the counters, an item that would prove extremely valuable moving forward in our story. He gives the commander a hand-drawn map, one that he created while traveling with Whaley on the surface. The map is far larger than expected, and the detail is extremely intricate. Reptilian's capabilities as a cartographer are remarkable to say the least. With this, Reptilian bids the counters and the commander farewell, promising another map for them when they meet again. Reporting back to Anderson, he also can't believe what he's hearing, the commander's account of meeting Reptilian and Whaley. None of this makes any logical sense. Despite this, Anderson asks Birmingham to verify the authenticity of the map Reptilian provided. Needless to say, the map provided far surpasses the current intel the Ark has on hand. From what they had on record, Reptilian's map was 90% accurate to what the Ark had. Remarkable work, according to Anderson. From this point onward, the counters will be acting as an exploration group. The area where the commander is currently will be dubbed as Reclamation Site 01. This will act as their base of operations while further exploring the unknown areas shown on Reptilian's map. In this case, it would be the Odd Crystal region, the closest area to Reclamation Site 1. Anderson states that he'll be sending some personnel over to help. Though not a large group, he says it'll be a small elite team. Anderson also asked permission to digitize a map and upload it to the central government's database. The commander agrees on one condition, that all these victories will be credited to himself and to the counters. Of course, Anderson agrees. These feats are something that hasn't been replicated in a century. With all these accomplishments, Anderson asks the commander if he desires power. Instead of power, the commander states that he wants to bring Marion back to the Ark, and if that means climbing the ranks, then so be it. Even after so much time has passed, the commander still wants to save Marion. Anderson warns the commander not to be reckless as the road ahead will be filled with trials and tribulations. Before leaving the meeting room, Anderson says one final thing to the commander. Once more, a comment that we can tie to past events.
Helping those new to the game is instinctual for old warhorses like myself. And I like my stories to have happy endings.
I have said this many times before, but our deputy chief seems to have much more to him than meets the eye. This happy ending comment ties directly into the end of Old Tales, Oswald stating the very same. One day, I hope we can learn more of Anderson's past, but that's a topic for another video. Back on the surface, the counters receive supplies and a brief update from Shifty. Our reliable operator comes bearing even more good news. Shifty will now be the designated operator for the commando unit, and working alongside the commander will help alleviate some of the responsibilities that come with leading the counters. Basically, she'll help them navigate the surface, keep them out of danger, and help the commander submit reports after the fact. Shifty isn't an ordinary operator. As she describes, she performed exceedingly in the exams hosted in the Ark. If the past 26 chapters have taught you anything, it's the fact that we have one of the most capable operators guiding us in future missions. Shifty also informs the group that they'll soon have backup at the reclamation site, one member from Pathfinder, one from Hammer and Drill, and the final from Electric Shock. All will be accompanying them as they explore the Crystal region. Anise seems puzzled by this. They aren't fighters, but instead are Nikkes from courier, mining, and hardware development. Before Shifty can clarify the reasoning for these Nikkes tagging along, a signal flare glides into the air. Wasting no time, the commander and counters rush to the aid of their new allies. We are then introduced to 3 new faces in our story: Liverin, Elig, and Hammering. The trio have been up on the surface, making their way to the reclamation site. At some point, they'd exited the transport vessel and had hitched a ride on Liverin's motorbike, Blue Hurricane. The noise of the motor, or in Elig's perspective, Hammering snoring, had attracted a horde of raptors. The ensuing conflict only acted to gather more, quickly surrounding the 3 NIKKEs. Hammering, raring to go, charges forward, attempting to clear a path for Elig and Liverin to push through. Baffled by the trio getting themselves surrounded, Counters arrives, and wasting no time, swiftly aids them in battle. Dispatching the raptors, Rappy instructs Shifty to confirm the identity of the 3 NIKKEs before them. Of course, it's pretty obvious that these are the reinforcements sent by the Ark. However, being up on the surface, you can never be too careful. Shifty confirms that the 3 NIKKEs before them are the previously mentioned reinforcements. They're all too familiar with Counters, commenting how they're all well known throughout the Ark, rightfully so. Following this, Liverin, Hammering, and Elig introduce themselves. Liverin is from Pathfinder, a courier squad who handles deliveries throughout the Ark. Though it may be odd that a delivery driver is there to assist them, Rappy quickly sums it up for the group. Though they have a map of the area, multiple routes exist, and a map can only tell them directions to take, but not which would be dangerous to navigate. That's where Liverin comes in. She'll act to guide the Counters on the best path when navigating through the Crystal region. In addition, she'll also devise escape routes should things get dicey while exploring. Hammering is a member of Hammer and Drill, a mining squad specialized in mineral analysis. She'll be there to aid in collecting samples and identifying useful materials to bring back to the Ark. Funnily enough, her squad mate's name is apparently Drilly, and she looks up to Senti, who the commander mistakes for her upon first meeting. Last but certainly not least is Elig, a member of Electric Shock. Elig specializes in everything and anything electronic. Her role is to analyze and repair any damaged devices they find on the surface that could prove useful to them. As Elig states, the surface used to house all of humanity, and thus a plethora of discarded devices remain on the surface, devices Elig can fix and make operational again. Despite the seemingly random choice of candidates for the exploration mission, it seems the Ark did their best with what they had. The Counters are exceptional fighters, but certainly don't have the same expertise that these 3 will add to the team. Moving to a secure location, Shifty explains that the trio will be temporary members of the Commando Squad, with the commander retaining his position over a total of 6 NIKKEs. Their job is simple: to explore the Crystal region and gather any necessary samples to return to the Ark. Shifty warns that some materials may pose a risk to them, and Hammering reassures Counters that she'll be able to tell them what's dangerous and what would be useful on their expedition. For context, as mentioned before, the Ark is suffering a severe lack of resources from the surface. A lot of material has dwindled drastically, and new avenues for resources could prove pivotal in aiding with future surface reclamations. As a safety measure, Shifty also informs the group that 2 members must stay back to watch Reclamation Site 1. The optical camouflage has proven useful, but this is the first time it's been utilized on the surface. Shifty is unsure of how effective it'll be in concealing their location, and this area is too important to lose. The Counters are also deemed as highly valuable to the Ark, so Shifty wants to do all she can to ensure that neither Counters nor the reclamation site fall. Neon comments on how good it feels to have the Ark recognize how important they are. And honestly, I think this comes as an understatement. In the span of the last 26 chapters, Counters have defeated multiple heretics, brought one back to humanity's side, survived multiple suicide missions, maintained relations with the Pilgrims, and had reclaimed a slot of land for the surface. These are only a few of their achievements, so to say that they're highly valuable makes perfect sense. This reclamation site is also the first piece of land reclaimed in a century. Yes, you heard that right. The first piece of land humanity had captured from the Raptures since the initial first invasion. Seeing the importance of maintaining this space, Neon volunteers both herself and Anise to stay back. Though they're exceptional fighters, they're not versed in exploration, and it wouldn't make sense to have Eleg, Hammering, or Liverin stay back when they were dispatched to aid them. Neon also comments on how neither her nor Anise are amazing as Rappy is. A noble suggestion, but one the commander is quick to shoot down. They're all going together, no exceptions. The commander asks if Shifty can hold down the fort while they're gone, which she can do. However, she won't be able to provide as much aid while they're exploring if she monitors the area. Eleg voices concern of losing this location if a rapture attacks, and the commander simply states that if the site is lost, they'll just reclaim it again. It's nice to see the commander gain more and more confidence in his abilities as the story progresses. If anyone is capable of such an act, it would be the Commando Squad. With this, the group ventures to the surface to explore the crystal region. Venturing up to the surface, Anise notices something peculiar about the trio that's joined the group. Normally, reinforcements are all from the same squad, such as instances with Matisse, Absolute, and Infinity Rail backing the counters. This time, things appear to be different. The reinforcements are all from different squads, which Anise finds odd. The reasoning for their unusual occurrence isn't anything out of the ordinary, and shines a light on the darker aspects of the arc. Drilly, Hammering's squadmate, is busy doing an important job in the arc. Due to the high pay, she cannot request time off to help Hammering on this mission. If she did, she'd put her position in jeopardy. Unlike Mighty Tools, Hammering Drill relies solely on discovering new mining veins on the surface, making their job very inconsistent. Hammering recalls months at a time where they had absolutely no work to do, and they cannot just repurpose materials from demolished buildings like Mighty Tools can. Hammering volunteered because the prospect of new vein discoveries could bring a life of luxury for her in the Ark amidst this work drought. Liverin is in a very similar situation. Their job as couriers is also very volatile. Delivery robots are much faster and more efficient than either Liverin or her squadmate. Due to this, many in the Ark prefer this expedited method of delivery. Just like Hammering, Liverin is strapped for cash, so taking this opportunity was a big risk with high yield. Despite Liverin's reasoning, according to Eleg, she's decked out in the latest fashion and her scooter is also very well maintained. Liverin's response only reinforces her previous statement. People wouldn't want Nikkes dressed like bums to deliver items to them, so she has to look her best in order to stay desirable on the market. As for her scooter, it's her only method to do her job, so it's only understandable that she treats it as an investment. Interestingly, when asked why she came alone, Liverin declines to answer, chalking it up to a personal matter. For Eleg, she's honestly just here to explore a new region and see what's uncovered. Electric Shock are comprised of Nikkes of different skill sets, all of which aren't the best at communicating to begin with. Due to this, they operate best when working alone. If Eleg were to come with her group, she states it'll only be more chaotic. I guess you could say that they get along with someone like Exia, who also loves electronics, but hates going outside. It's honestly a little sad to see the Ark's crushing economy also impacting the Nikkes who roam their streets. After quickly dispatching a group of raptures, Eleg, Hammering, and Liverin are all impressed by the counter's fighting prowess. Unsurprisingly, their triumphs are well known to the Ark, and their actions far surpass the stories told of them. They defeated enemies previously thought to be unbeatable, such as Modernia, Nihilister, and Indivilia. Getting back on topic, Eleg once more presses Liverin on the details of her job. Why would anyone choose to have Pathfinder deliver their goods when perfectly efficient robots exist? Liverin doesn't want to answer at first, but being pressured more by Eleg, she finally cracks. The money Liverin gets is from a select group of individuals in the Ark. These individuals are high on the totem pole, and with their deliveries, they want something a bit more. Liverin's deliveries come with flattery, given to the clients in a myriad of ways. Some want them to read off scripts, while others want a dramatic delivery. A lot of people in the Ark have too much time and money on their hands and want some form of excitement. So long as yearning for such interactions exists, Liverin can maintain her scooter and keep buying designer clothing. As for Eleg, when questioned, she reveals her reason for tagging along. Electric Shock specializes in electronics, specifically on hardware production and maintenance. Eleg is in charge of the energy efficiency and utilization of the Ark. Due to this, she states that she's here to see if the crystals will yield to a form of energy that can be used on the Ark. This comment leads us to our second major segue to Boomsday. an event which shines a light on the Ark's power source. The power source is something, much like many other instances in this story, that no one truly understands. It's extremely unstable and causes mass blackouts regularly in the Ark. The Ark's power source doesn't seem to be dwindling whatsoever, and through the events of Boomsday and Dark Hero, Alec discovers just how dangerous this object is in the Ark. There are few in the Ark that know its deepest secrets, and with both Trony and Alec discovering the truth, they were immediately pursued by the central government for a memory wipe. A lie was fabricated to apprehend electric shock, the lie that they were planning a terrorist attack on the Ark. Ultimately, Alec sacrificed herself so Trony could roam free, resulting in Alec's incarceration. Ether, a researcher from MMR, steps in to eventually pardon Alec and Trony, showing falsified reports of the duo having gone through a memory wipe. This was a major kerfuffle for the Ark. Nikkes normally aren't able to act on their free will and directly disobey orders without consequence. Ether stepped in due to her curiosity on the situation. She wanted to see just how far Nikkes will go when going against their superiors. As a little side note, learning of the Ark's power source was enough to send Alec up on this operation, hoping they can find something more stable than the current power source of the Ark. As the group continues on, they finally reach the Crystal region. As a brief analysis, Alec determines that the area isn't immediately dangerous. Curiously, the alpha particle concentration is very low. When analyzing the crystals in the region, Hammering states it's nothing more than a normal crystal, similar to quartz. When analyzing it further, they see a crystal that is different from the rest. One is emitting luminescence, and the exterior of the crystal highly resembles circuitry. Alec finds that an excess electricity is flowing through this crystal. When analyzing the device with her tablet, Alec finds the device suddenly shutting off. Seeing as the crystals don't pose much of a threat, Hammering suggests collecting samples to bring back to the Ark. After dispatching a group of raptures, Hammering gets to work doing just that. When attempting to break a chunk off, she finds the material to be more similar in durability to a diamond rather than a quartz. Though difficult, she manages to get a piece, which quickly loses its luminescence once broken. Not only that, but it also disintegrates with nothing left to collect. Puzzled, a few more attempts are made in order to collect a sample, all proving to be fruitless. No matter what method the group tries, they're unable to find a suitable way to collect a fragment of the crystals. Even when trying to pull a chunk from the ground, Hammering gives up after the crystals refuse to move even an inch from where it's lodged. Seeing this as a setback, the Counters feel their best course of action is to return to Reclamation Site 1 and plan another method of attack. Hearing this, Alec and Liverin insist on further exploring the region. All three of them tagged along in order to make a name for themselves, to escape the suffocating repetition of the Ark. To Liverin, if they give up now, she'll go back to her courier job, kissing people's feet in order to barely scrape by. She doesn't want that, and begs the commander to let them continue exploring. They need to find something, anything to cement the group as trailblazers in the Ark. If that happens, according to Liverin, she can finally escape the cycle that she's stuck in. Seeing as the crystals didn't emit any toxins, nor did it explode when impacted, the commander sees no issue with pressing onward. Liverin doesn't seem as enthusiastic as Alec is to explore. According to her own account, Alec has determination, while Liverin is acting more out of desperation. Although she states she's exploring in an attempt to escape her courier job, Rappy can't help but think something more is happening behind the scenes, especially after the recent events of the Ark invasion. It's no surprise Counters are on guard. Liverin is also the one that pushed the most to continue with this exploration, whether she's pursuing to escape her courier position, or if a deeper plot exists. For now, Counters will stay on their toes. Eventually, the group stumbles upon a gruesome scene. A rapture is partially encased in the crystals. It still appears to be alive, convulsing as faint sounds can be heard, almost as if they're cries from the rapture. As the group continues to observe, the rapture core begins to grow faint as the convulsions cease. Interestingly, the crystal seems to grow following the rapture's death. This is peculiar for the group to witness. The same didn't happen when they touched the crystals earlier, so it's not directly using the rapture for nutrients. Despite this, something is definitely happening that the group doesn't fully understand. Alec, seeing this unfold, wastes no time, asking Hammering to help her conduct some tests on the crystals. Through these experiments, Alec finds that the crystals absorb energy of anything they come into physical contact with for an extended period of time. This was the reason that Alec's tablet has shut off earlier, and the reason for the crystal's growth after fully draining the trapped rapture. These crystals will grow and expand, eventually covering a wide area as they search for more nutrients. When cut off from an energy source, the crystals will disintegrate, much like what happened when Hammering attempted to collect a sample. To test his theory further, Ella used herself to experiment with these crystals. Sure enough, after a short exposure, she found her core power diminishing slightly. Not only this, but something a bit more alarming had occurred. Ella shows the group her hand, which is now riddled with small holes. The crystal, in an attempt to find more energy to consume, had spread within Alex's hand. It would have continued to her core if she hadn't shut off power to that area of her body. In doing so, the crystal slowly died off, disintegrating shortly after. This means that if prolonged exposure occurs, anyone could be consumed by these crystals as they search for a new source of energy to feed off of. Interestingly, these crystals are all interconnected, which means that there's an epicenter the group can find and potentially analyze. Alex suggests finding a large crystal chunk and breaking it in half. Half will retain its luminescence, while the other half will crumble. Following the trail, they could potentially find the central point of these crystals. Elig isn't done dishing out new information to the group just yet. She's found one more piece of information, that these crystals are not naturally forming, and at some point, someone had planted these crystals here deliberately. On one hand, this offers the opportunity to make contact with a possible pilgrim, but on the other, it raises a more alarming scenario, that this could be the work of a heretic that the Ark has yet to encounter. With this newfound revelation, the group presses onward to see if they can uncover any further information on this mysterious new region. Distancing themselves from the crystal, the commando unit wastes no time setting up camp and getting ready to call it a day. They covered a lot of ground and deserve a much needed rest. Hammering knocks out immediately and begins sawing logs as the group prepares their temporary camp. Liverin goes to set up decoys, and Anise follows shortly after. Interestingly, this is the point in the story that will spark another character introduction, one that is far less upbeat than our encounter with Raptilian earlier. Liverin slips away from the group and quickly pulls out her phone. She begins conversing with someone on her blah blah messenger, only to be marked by 6 zeros. For those of you that have played Dirty Backyard, Kill the Lord, and Lord for Justice, you'll know exactly who this is. This is Sixo's introduction to the main story, and it would seem, unsurprisingly, that they're up to no good. Sixo is a notorious hacker who operates in the shadows of the Ark. They have free reign over the dark net, and their reach seems to be farther than any normal central government grunt. In Dirty Backyard, Sixo picks a fight with the Peony Association, and it is revealed that Sugar is also previously affiliated with her. This is no small feat, picking a battle with one of the members of Underworld Queen. Sixo, in this event's story, was moving massive quantities of dust, a dangerous drug-like substance, in and out of the Outer Rim. Not only does Sixo evade capture, but it's almost as if she's taunting Moran. One interesting thing to mention is a certain Nikke who's displayed as a bonus Nikke in this event. Dala is a bonus Nikke for Dirty Backyard, but she has no presence in the story whatsoever. Sixo's involvement with Sugar is already a bit suspicious, but even more so is the fact that Dala is very familiar with the Dark Net. If you recall from the Invasion saga, she was the one Sakura met with to track the movement of transactions by Heavenly Ascension. Though it may be a red herring, it'll be a good point to think about as Sixo's story progresses. Anyway, back to our original timeline. Sixo and Liverin are having a rather serious discussion. It would appear that Liverin was sent by Sixo to conduct the mission, one in which she has yet to progress in whatsoever. Sixo, via text, seems to be demanding, impatient, and very pushy to get the job done. Liverin has no wiggle room, and has no choice but to comply with her demands. It would seem that Rappy's intuition was right. Liverin cannot be trusted, and there's a clear ulterior motive at play. Suddenly, Liverin is interrupted by Anise. Liverin attempts to offset the conversation, chalking the interaction up to her communication with a client. Though Anise may not say it, it is clear that she's also wary of Liverin too. Back at the camp, Ellig is fired up with finally being able to traverse the crystal region. Due to this, she can't sleep, and instead decides to tinker with the commander's communication device. He can't recall when it last been maintained, so she does her best to fix it up. Instead of just repairing it, it would appear Ellig installed Boom on it. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't mention in the summary yet. Ellig is obsessed with Boom, which, yes, is a parody of the popular game Doom. She'll install this game on anything she can get her hands on, even vowing in Boomsday to install it on the Dome of Eternity in the Ark. With this small fiasco, the group goes to sleep. However, Ellig isn't done with her antics quite yet. The next morning, Neon finds her glasses also have Boom installed on them. Interestingly, Ellig also asks Neon where those glasses came from, to which she can't exactly remember. Ellig states that they're no ordinary pair of glasses, and before she can explain, Ellig lets out a shriek. The crystals have moved closer to their location, and it appears that they're spreading rapidly. Well, moving might not be the right word. According to Hammering, they were always there, but moved closer towards the group. According to Hammering, these crystals appear to be more plant-like, and states that she'll be contacting the Botanic Squad to inquire about this finding further. Continuing onward, Hammering has more findings that she'd like to share with the group. These crystals will search for any source of energy to feed off. However, Hammering feels if any of the group should be afflicted by them, simply removing their heads should suffice. Though this is no easy task, and the group agrees that it'll be a last-ditch effort if push comes to shove. Sadly, Neon remarks how she's never died before because she's so amazing, directly recalling her loss of memory of being bisected by Indivilia. A little while later, the group stumbles upon a narrow path. Shifty informs the group that beyond this path lay a city. Surprisingly, Rapture corpses lay strewn across this narrow area, almost as if they were all running away from something. It's odd to see Raptures navigate this narrow passageway, let alone cram themselves into a mass area. Shifty suddenly interjects, stating that the crystals nearby have been closing in on the group. She's not sure what it is, but it's clear that something is pursuing them. Taking a moment to listen to their surroundings, the group is soon met by an unknown crystal, which appears to be a hybrid crystallized Rapture. Wasting no time, the commando unit readies their weapons and engages in battle. Upon defeating Unknown Crystal, the crystals surrounding the infected Rapture dissolve, leaving the Rapture riddled with small holes throughout its body. Curious on the condition of the Rapture and the crystal's impact on it, Ellig attempts to investigate. Patching through to the group, Shifty chimes in, interrupting Ellig's research into this phenomenon. She comes bearing good news. She'll connect them with Flora, a member of Botanic Garden and an expert in botany. Flora, upon meeting the group, begins to relay her findings based on the reports made by Hammering. In summary, the crystals are very similar to plant-like structures. They infiltrate a host and grow from within, eventually protruding out. In doing this process, the crystals will drain all energy from the host, eventually leaving it as an empty shell. In the case of Unknown Crystal, the crystals instead parasitized it, using the Rapture for as long as it could before finally draining all of its power. Soldier class and Servant Raptures have smaller power sources, and due to this, the crystals will take all their energy in one go, instantly killing the victim. In the case of Lord class Raptures and above, the crystals slowly consume the energy, leaving the host alive for as long as possible. They leave the host alive to spread these crystals over a greater distance in a much more expedited way. Flora states that she'll need to analyze the crystals herself to find further details, but honestly, the information she's given the group thus far has already been a big help. With this newfound information, the group decides it's best to move towards the city. They've already come this far, and turning back is not an option. With this decision, Hammering forces the gates before them open, revealing a city encased in crystals. The group takes their time admiring the beauty of the newly discovered area. If it weren't for the crystals, this city would have been a great place to reside should they reclaim this area. Sadly, the city also seemed to be a prime place for these crystals to feed off, rapidly expanding, engulfing the entire area. While observing their surroundings, the group also notices the map will have no use for them from here on out. The landscape is too warped by the crystals, and thus, the paths on the map are no longer there. Honestly, it would be cool for Reptilian to pop into the story right about now. Willy could fly overhead and guide the group towards the most efficient path to their destination. Speaking of destination, it would appear that the group had found their next target location. Ellig points the group to a massive crystal at the center of the city, one that seems to be emitting a much stronger light than any crystals surrounding it. They deem this crystal as their origin point for the area and waste no time navigating towards it. Since the map is obsolete, Liverin will act as their guide, navigating the group to the center of the city. Liverin's navigational skills prove to be useful in this situation. She's able to guide the group into new paths almost effortlessly. However, as they venture deeper, Rappy grows more and more concerned. Again, with everything that's happened to the commander recently, it's understandable why. Rappy stops the group and reminds them that they can't be too cautious on the surface. Exploring a new place may be exciting, but it also poses new threats and dangers. The Lord class they just took down, Unknown Crystal, have been far stronger than anything they'd faced before. These crystals also pose an immediate threat to the group if they get too comfortable as well. In addition, the Nikkes can remove their heads if infected, but the commander cannot. Rappy suggests beginning a swift retreat to regroup at Reclamation Site 1. Of course, Anise and Neon agree to this suggestion, but it would appear that Liverin is dead set on pressing onward. Something seems very off about her, immediately attempting to sympathize with the commander to continue on. He's not just doing this because it's an ordinary order by the higher-ups, but there's a deeper meaning to it. No risk, no reward, as Liverin would say. The commander agrees with this point, and against the counter's wishes, he states that they'll continue to explore the city more. This choice by the commander doesn't sit well with counters, who are still worried about him. As the trio presses ahead, counters stay back to find the real reason behind the commander's choice. It's unlike him to be this headstrong about things, and even more odd that he'd run straight into danger. Unlike other missions, the counters are entirely in the dark, not only regarding the area around them, but the enemies within this area and the true danger the city could pose if they let their guard down. The commander understands all of this, but is insistent to continue to strengthen his position in the Arc. The commander wants to gain more reputation and eventually be able to solidify a position of power amidst the central government. In doing so, he believes that he can truly make his goals achievable. A future where Nikkes are given a choice and one where they aren't seen as mere cannon fodder. Marion is a big anchor for this resolve as well. He wants to save her, even after all this time. He wants to make sure the counters aren't in any danger in the future too. No matter what happens, he doesn't want to lose someone dear to him again. Though radical, the counters empathize with the commander's actions. The central government is always watching and listening. Realizing this, Rappy asks Shifty to wipe the records clean of their conversation. As Shifty states, much of what the commander just said could be seen as a declaration of war. He needs to brush up on politics if he intends to sway the higher-ups in the future, and Shifty suggests he familiarize himself with the basics moving forward. Though this change won't happen overnight, it'll impact the commander's actions moving forward. This is also the point in the summary where I'll remind you all of one thing. The commander has a line he won't cross, one that Crow nearly pushed him to in Chapter 24. As our story progresses, I wonder if that line will eventually be crossed in the future. With this discussion behind them, and a new understanding reached, the group continues their exploration of the Crystal City. Despite Liverin's strong entrance into unknown territory, she begins to lead the group into repeated dead ends. Hammering, under Liverin's guidance, continues to smash away at crystal after crystal only to reveal dead ends each and every time. Ellig, after witnessing all these plunders, suggests that Liverin probably doesn't know the way after all. Liverin had joked before about not being well versed in these types of situations, only to brush it off moments after. Instead of gathering her bearings, Liverin snaps.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Miss Liverin? I screwed up. I'm sorry. What? Are you okay?
Lung function's decreasing. Liverin, I need you to breathe.
Liverin continues to hyperventilate, and before the group can attempt to calm her, Hammering makes her move.
I went too far. What are you doing?
If a machine is acting up, giving it a good whack usually fixes it.
Despite the unorthodox way of helping Liverin, Hammering managed to get her back to her senses. Seeing this crisis averted, Shifty directs the group to a possible route they can take next. Ellig, understandably, feels awful for causing Liverin to panic, apologizing to her shortly after. Hammering takes Liverin and, alongside the rest of the group, carries her to a safe area to recover. Once Liverin stabilizes herself, she explained that this condition of hers is, in fact, due to past trauma. She had been in a situation before where she'd fumbled, and as a result, a lot of people close to her suffered for it. She doesn't take criticism well, and when she is told she is doing something wrong, it causes her to panic. Effectively with this, the group has lost their guide, which is a major blow to their operation. Instead of turning back, the commander decides to change their approach to the mission. They've been cautious up until this point, far too cautious in the commander's opinion. In walking on eggshells, they'd exerted unnecessary energy and ultimately ended up in this situation. Everyone present is aware of the danger, that may be true, but the commander feels that they can loosen up a little and roll with the punches as they press onward. Liverin did plunder, but the commander doesn't reprimand her for it. He shifts her position instead, and reiterates how important she is in the group. Now, Liverin will be tasked with keeping track of where the group had been. Should they reach a dead end or get into a sticky situation, Liverin's job is to lead them back to a point of safety they've previously explored. And this is the point where Liverin gets a bit hot and heavy for the commander. Guess that aura of his truly knows no bounds.
Thank you, Commander. I can't believe this. You're not angry with me? You're unlike any other commander I've seen. Heck, you're unlike any man I've ever seen.
Sorry, Rappy, you're not the only one after the commander's heart. Breaking the tense situation, Ellig states that if the commander said that they can loosen up a bit on the operation, that she'll go and install Boom on the massive display of the building that they're currently in. The group follows Ellig to the roof, but not before Liverin asks Rappy a few more questions.
Rappy, can I ask you something?
What is it?
The commander... is he seeing someone? I don't mean anything by it, I'm just curious, that's all.
He is married.
Huh? Really?
Yes, and he has 2 kids.
No way.
I kid you not, when I played through this for the first time, I was dying at this point in the story. The point-blank delivery Rappy gives Liverin here is just pure gold. It would seem Ellig didn't just go to the rooftop for no reason. In addition to her installing Boom, she also gave Liverin a vantage point to see all the routes they could possibly take to reach the center of the city. While scanning the area, Liverin notices something odd with the crystals ahead. Hammering, noticing a small difference between the crystals' luminescence, switches her vision to enhance the details of the area they're scanning. Crystals near the roadway seem to have a slightly stronger glow than those around them, signifying a possible path the group can take moving forward. Suddenly, the commander hears the sound of an explosion in the distance. Only, this time, the explosions seem a bit off. Unsurprisingly, Ellig has successfully installed Boom onto the huge display of the rooftop. The only question now is, how? How was she able to find a power source in an area that was drained of energy?
If you keep supplying nutrients to these crystals before they completely disintegrate, they won't grow. But they'll continue to store the reserves of electricity inside them for a while. It's like they have a built-in survival instinct. When they're in this stabilized state, they won't absorb anything, so you can pull the electricity remaining inside them and harness it. Call me crazy, but to me, This means we could use them as a viable energy source.
How much power are they capable of providing?
Sit tight for this one. For this entire electric display, all I needed was this.
You're kidding.
This finding is monumental for the Arc. These crystals can not only be manipulated, but utilized to sustain the Arc's power grid. Unlike the current power source, it's not volatile, and can prove to be sustainable for decades or even centuries to come. With this newfound information, and Alec installing Boom on yet another device, the group has one clear goal left. They have to reach the crystal cluster, and with Liverin finding a suitable path, they waste no time heading down the streets once more. As they get closer, the usage of Hammering's vision enhancement slowly begins to take its toll. Eventually, as the group puts it, she could succumb to a mind switch if she continues using this function. Despite this, navigation needs to continue. Interestingly, Alex states that Neon could help them in this situation. Puzzled, Neon follows Alex's instructions, tapping her glasses and activating what Neon calls her supervision. Neon is able to use a similar function to the one Hammering had been guiding the group with. This time though, she can use it freely without the possibility of undergoing a mind switch. Though the group is puzzled at first, Shifty states that she'll look into just what exactly Neon's glasses are. According to Eleg, they're not anything she's familiar with the big three producing. Brushing it off and awaiting Shifty's report, the group presses onward. Eventually, Neon runs into another issue. The crystals seem to be emitting the same level of luminescence. No matter where she looks, it's all the same. Hammering offers assistance, and with her aid, Neon can barely make out the right path to take. The intensity of the lights only mean one thing, that the group was close to the epicenter of the crystal clusters. While pressing onward, Anise and Rappy discuss Neon with the commander. None of them know Neon's origins, only that she'd been sent to join the Counters. Rappy had never looked into the details of it since she trusted Neon's addition as an order from the higher-ups. Anise never thought anything more of it, since Neon always seemed genuinely airheaded. One thing they can both agree on is the fact that Neon is most likely unaware of these powers herself. They decide to keep their tabs on her as the group presses on. Navigating through tight nooks and crannies, the Commando Squad finally reaches their destination. Standing between them and the epicenter of the crystals lay a giant iron door. As Alec had brought up previously, this is both exciting and dangerous. When navigating to this location, the group noticed that the path began to grow narrow, and that raptures were also present in this location. It all seemed a bit too peculiar, almost as if an intelligent being had set these paths and traps to keep the group out. This means that the group won't only find the central crystal of the city, but also will potentially uncover who created and spread these crystals too. The only question now is whether that person is hostile or not. Behind the iron door, the group finds an array of old medical devices strewn throughout the area. In the center, the group finds a mass of crystals, and oddly enough, within the crystals seems to be a silhouette of something, or rather, someone. Taking the time to look at this background does show something embedded within. Before anyone can react, Rappy feels a sudden urge to destroy the crystals before her. She's acting entirely irrational, but before she can enact this sudden urge, a new face enters the fray. This individual seems to be dressed in foreign attire, nothing like the group had seen before. More interestingly, she dons a mask concealing her identity. From what we can tell, she may be a NIKKE, but what we don't know is her affiliation. All the mysterious woman says is for the group to leave or die. Of course, the group cautiously engages with this unknown NIKKE. It's clear after a brief skirmish the sheer difference in power between them. As a battle ensues, she utters a weapon type that we're all too familiar with.
Commander, we're engaging.
Get ready for a fight!
7 dwarves. Ready.
7 dwarves?
insane!
Who are you? I said, who are you?
Demanding to know the unknown's identity, the clash continues. Liverin, amidst all this, is only obsessed with capturing a photo of the unknown. She's so entranced in this goal that she doesn't even notice the impending danger looming over her. Pushing Liverin to the ground, Elig is in disbelief of Liverin's actions. Hammering is badly injured, and the fight is shifting in the unknown's favor. Despite this, all Liverin can focus on is snapping a picture. Do keep in mind that this could directly correlate with the mission given to Liverin by 6-0. With another blast incoming, Hammering reflects the blast with their hammer. Dust kicks up as the unknown escapes. But there is another, more pressing matter at hand. Hammering had been injured, with the crystals embedding themselves deep within her arm. As raptures quickly surround the group, Rappy calls for everyone to take FF formation as they begin their next encounter. Swiftly, the commando unit takes down the surrounding raptures and finally can catch their breath. It would seem that the unknown NIKKE isn't in any database that the Arc has, so Shifty advises the group to exercise extreme caution around them. Hammering isn't faring too well, and Elig wastes no time attempting to remove all the crystals from her body. Unfortunately, some of the crystals are on a microscopic level, and due to this, she's unable to fully rid Hammering of the parasitic crystals plaguing her body. The best course of action would be getting back to Reclamation Site 1. However, their guide seems to be preoccupied. Liverin, once more, is engrossed in her phone, trying to find a way to contact 6-0. It would seem that spotting the unknown fell into 6-0's request from Liverin earlier. Despite the dire urgency to leave, she insists that she needs to talk to this client. Anise, already on her toes with Liverin, makes a snide remark that it must be hard dealing with customers all the way out here. With a chuckle, Liverin continues to try to get through to 6-0, only to find that her messages will fail to send. Noticing how dejected her expression is, the commander asks what's wrong. Seemingly shattered, Liverin begins to ask the commander if he has any reach in the central government. During the exchange of messages, it's obvious that 6-0 has Liverin under her thumb. Another individual named Fragile is mentioned, Liverin begging 6-0 not to hurt them. More than one life seems to be at stake here, and it may be for the best that she comes clean now. Unfortunately, Liverin's interrupted by the resurfacing of the unknown. In an attempt to communicate, the commander tries to approach the unknown slowly. All he wanted to do was make contact, and possibly make her understand what they're doing in her domain. Before they can draw any closer, the unknown pulls out a strange metal object and slams it into the surrounding crystals. Suddenly, the crystals begin to expand rapidly, cutting the group off from the unknown. Thinking on her feet, Hammering smashes the crystals, revealing that the unknown had made a swift retreat. Before the group can fully gather their bearings, ominous vibrations begin to emit in the surrounding area. Without warning, the crystals begin to expand, forcing the group to make haste to the nearest exit. At every turn, Liverin continues to find the route blocked for the group to escape. The route they took had already been swallowed up by the crystals. The group also feels as though the crystals are targeting them entirely, which turns out to be true. Due to their nature of feeding off energy, the crystals were looking to consume anything in their path. Instead of using the way that they came, the commander suggests going to the crystal cluster. In doing so, he feels that an exit may be present, allowing the group to escape. While continuing to pave a new path, Elig hatches a pretty brilliant idea. She has auxiliary batteries in her possession, 20 in total. If she overloads the batteries, the crystals should be distracted and drawn to them for a short time. This can allow the group a safe and swift retreat without having to worry about the crystals catching up to them. Wasting no time, they quicken their pace as they navigate this quickly closing maze. Shifty also informs the group that once they're back at the reclamation site, Hammering will receive the necessary treatment. All arrangements have been made. All the group needs to do is successfully escape. However, this is NIKKE's story, so nothing is done that easily. They run into the unknown again, but this time, it seems that they got the drop on her. She's moving sluggishly, and Hammering states that she'll toss a battery near the unknown, cutting them off and eliminating one more threat to their escape. Before Hammering has a chance to launch a battery, a sudden shot rings out. It would seem that the unknown had the jump on them. firing a high-intensity electrical beam at the group. Well, not at them, rather to the ground beneath them and the wall behind. The impact results in a cacophonous explosion, sending the group to the ground. Getting to their feet, Counters and Hammering find that they've been separated from Liverin and Ellig. Raising her hammer, Hammering is ready to break through. However, Shifty quickly warns against it. The area is dangerous, and if Hammering were to break the crystals, she'd be quickly incinerated. The commander yells out to Liverin and Ellig, stating that they'd rendezvous at the crystal cluster, assuring them that they'll see them there. With Ellig and Liverin separated from the group, the following subchapter gives an interesting interaction between the two. It's obvious that Liverin is under some ulterior motive, and Ellig intends to find out what it is. Despite her prying, Liverin can't trust Ellig with that kind of information. She cannot say truthfully why she tagged along with the Counters on this expedition. In response, Liverin asks Ellig why she tagged along to begin with. To Ellig, she came to relieve stress. The act of living alone is stressful to her. To Liverin's puzzled expression, Ellig states the following.
The reason I came here is simple. I need a way to relieve my stress. The very act of living is stressful for me. Why? Tens of millions of people live in the Ark. Except for the Outer Rim, the infrastructure in the Ark is extremely advanced, and most people enjoy it. But it's strange. There's no power plant on the Ark. No thermal, wind, hydro, or nuclear power. Nothing. And that, my friend, is where the problem arises. Everyone lives comfortably in their cushy society. But they never ask themselves, where does all that energy come from? Well, I know the answer. That's why I came here. Once you find out the answer as well, I'm sure you won't want to spend another second in the Ark.
Once more, this is a reference to Boomsday directly. Ellig and Trony had not been memory wiped, and the grim secret of the Ark is now weighing on their shoulders. The acting theory is that the Ark's power source is one of two ultra-massive rapture cores, or UMCs for short. These UMCs are interconnected, so if one is destroyed, the other will fall with it. It just so happens that the other core resides under the space elevator, the very epicenter of the Rapture's initial invasion. In Footsteps Walk Run, Red Hood uncovers this secret and vows to destroy the UMC under the lift. Deep, the mysterious entity we meet in the same event, relays the same information to Red Hood. Neither UMC can be destroyed without collateral. I can only imagine the weight of this knowledge Ellig carries on her shoulders. Hell, it was enough to send Trony into a depressive slump. So it's a miracle Ellig can press onward like this. She's right though. The Ark's citizens live in complacency, turning a blind eye to the more pressing questions within the existence of their so-called utopia. Back with the Counters, the group continues to navigate towards the crystal cluster. On the way, they find something peculiar. Raptures lay strewn throughout the path they're traversing, and the group thinks whoever made these crystals also were using the Raptures as a food source for them to expand. It's not a far-fetched theory considering all they'd experienced thus far. While pressing on, vibrations can be felt once more. This time, a stampeding group of Raptures seem to be closing in on their location. They don't seem to be pursuing the Counters, but instead, seem to be rapidly fleeing from something, almost as if being chased by a predator. Quickening their pace, the group makes their way towards the crystal cluster. Suddenly, Hammering bolts forward, stating that she found Ellig and Liverin. This comes as great news, if they weren't... if the game didn't put them in a literal hentai position. Yep, this is how they're stuck, bent over, ass to the sky, just like that. You know, I applaud you, NIKKE. It's been God knows how many chapters since you've been that down... Wait, what the f am I saying? Red Hood was down bad a chapter ago. Anyway, Liverin and Ellig got trapped with their butts to the sky. As the group moves to free Liverin and Ellig, Anise raises a good point. Everything's going a bit too well. Normally, in a situation like this, there would be something guarding an object as important as these crystals. Neon comments that maybe the gatekeeper of this area will fall from the sky and drop right in front. Oh my god, that's exactly what happened. A Lord class falls before the group. However, this Lord class quickly transforms into one of the most badass fights we've experienced in NIKKE to date. Not only is the boss incredibly fun, but the OST for it is also an absolute banger. With Crystal Chamber defeated, Hammering attempts to free Elec and Liverin. Stopping in her tracks, she suddenly calls out to the counters for a location tracker. Luckily, a good spy never leaves home without one, and Neon tosses the tracker to Hammering. Hammering warns for the group to stay back. The ground around them is unstable. For now, the counters aren't in any harm's way. However, the group that joined them is at the epicenter of an impending collapse. Hammering advises the group to find them once this is all over. After all, she isn't ready to die quite yet. Suddenly, the crystal cluster is swallowed by the earth, vanishing entirely. Approaching a massive hole where Hammering once stood, Rappy throws a flare, revealing another startling revelation. This isn't just any hole, but instead, much like ones used in the Arc, it's an elevator shaft, one leading to an unknown location. Now, the counters have a much more dire situation on their hands. Not only do they need to rescue Hammering, Liverin, and Elec, but they need to do so as fast as possible. Hammering is already infected with these parasitic crystals, and there's no telling what condition Liverin or Elec are in either. With the separation of the group in unknown territory, and the introduction of several new characters, we finally reach the end of this chapter summary. Like I said previously, these chapters begin one of the most intricate and dense plots in our main campaign. Is the unknown a friend or enemy? What is Liverin's main objective? And can the counters rescue everyone in time? These are all questions that'll be answered moving forward. Did you enjoy these chapters, and what was your favorite part? Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Huge shout out for all of you who supported the series, and I apologize for the slow pace in getting this installment out. Thank you all for joining me, and as always, I will see you all in the next video. Gianne.